Hi, everybody, and welcome to another beautiful Wednesday with Cosmic Sisters. So, good morning, good
Morning.
day, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you
Hmm.
are in the entire world on the globe, our beautiful globe. And today we have Wednesday, October 30th. Oh, we are stepping into November, we are stepping into Halloween
Hmm.
and Souls Day and All Saints Day, right?
Correct.
So I kind of love that celebration, um, All Saints Day, because I didn't actually grow up with Halloween. It's something that came, I think, around 1990s here in Sweden. So it's not something we had for a very long time. Yeah,
Yeah.
now it's a few years, 30 years or something. And you are watching Cosmic Sis-Stars Show on Cosmic Guardians with hosts Anne and Corrine. And because of the time changes around the globe, we had a little bit of a fuss here, but we made it in time. Corrine didn't change time, but we did here in Sweden. And I know that this is going to be off and on around the globe, not the same day. That would be practical also, right? But anyway, we are here with you. We are happy to be here with you. So today we have a very juicy topic. I love this one. Surrender versus release.
Hmm.
Plus your questions. And if anyone would ever want a mini reading, please feel free to ask for it, right?
Hmm.
And our last show on Cosmic Guardians was supposed to be Bobby and the Spiritual Mechanic show, but we had to cancel that last minute. We have rescheduled it for Friday, November 1st, in just a couple of days. So we talk about how I beat chronic depression. And of course, last show on Cosmic Sisters was Wednesday, October 23rd. And we talked about embracing the pulse, the art of heart-centered living.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that one too. That was a really good show.
That's a good one. Yeah.
If you missed any of our shows or our last shows or want to catch up with us and find us, you can go to angelplaceonearth.com/cosmic guardians. And I made actually um, a, a new page where you can follow upcoming episodes and past episodes. So you can keep track on that. Every single past episode we made is in
Wow.
there. And that is angelplaceonearth.com/upcoming and the little, I don't know what's called in English. Just,
The icons, I guess that's what I use.
no, okay, it's not the icons. It's just like when you bind two words together, you have something in between them.
Hyphen.
Um, yeah, probably. Upcoming past. So you find it. Okay. And we always go live at facebook.com/cosmic guardians and youtube.com/at angel place on earth.
Hmm.
So I'm so happy to be here with you again. You are my real true cosmic sister and
Uh-huh.
sister. So happy
Yes.
to have found you across the globe. What do you say about today's topic?
Oh, I'm really ready to get into this. But you mentioned Halloween, and it's interesting because it seems like in America we take everybody's different things that they do for different holidays and kind of make it into something that we can, you know, do even bigger and more stupid and whatever. But a lot of the things like the pumpkins and things were set out to chase away the dead spirits on All Saints Day. And so that's why we go with the pumpkins. And then the different things we do, we've kind of gathered them up because we're collective. What can I say? But it
Yeah,
is
but
coming.
here we always celebrated All Saints Day. That's on Saturday for us,
Yes.
to be honest. So it's a
Yes.
day when you can light a candle for someone who crossed over,
Yes,
remember
it was
them.
a religious holiday. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm very interested in talking about this because we've done several. when we did a whole show on how to use words and what do the words really, really mean. And it's interesting because people will say, "Oh, well, I'm on this spiritual path and I'm going to surrender all my terrible things that I do and I'm going to this and everything else." But if you think about the word surrender, surrender by definition means to completely give up, to yield your power, your will, and be completely defeated by the demands of something else. And it means to stop resisting because you can't win. And it's so defining. It's so fatal. It's so, it doesn't have any hope.
Purpose.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's interesting. It's actually a big difference between surrendering or releasing.
Exactly.
A big difference.
It is, because if you're telling yourself that you are completely giving away a part of yourself, or you're you're surrendering to somebody else's will, you've put yourself in a very vulnerable place. However, when you want to let go of a habit or a shadow, like we were talking about last week or a couple of weeks ago, when you release them, you let go. When you release, it's allowing the flow to begin. I will release the water into the pond. I will let it flow into the pond. I'm not going to make that water surrender and give up and change its way. No, I'm going to gently let it flow. And when we're harsh on ourselves, it makes what we're doing seem like a battle. And it isn't a battle. It is a gentle embracing of a different perspective of ourselves, and a different love that we have. So I find that using that word surrender, it just it puts like a defeat. And
Yes. Surrendering means for me I just give up and I adapt to something
yes,
instead of thinking about it, pondering about it, letting it melt within me and taste it, so to speak, but with my heart, right? And then I
correct.
can release or I can keep. It's
And
different.
I find that we're speaking about words in general, but I find that even a male thinking of certain words and a female thinking of certain words is totally different. I wanted to put something like I wanted to have a retreat, and to a woman, oh, that means leaving everything behind, putting the children in daycare, and going and have facials, and that's what a retreat means to us. Retreat to a man means they've lost something, and they're having to back off. So I came up with a different name for my event, but we we need to really embrace the power of these words and what we're saying, especially when we're saying them to ourselves, you know?
Exactly. And coming back to the show about the water crystals, Masaru Emoto's work, right? So if
Exactly.
we are contained by, I think, let's say 65% water, it
At our
depends.
age, yeah, it's
Yes,
65.
yes. It's if water crystals actually resonate and water resonates, then how are we speaking to ourselves? And I think we need to remind ourselves about that all the time because it
Yes.
makes all the difference. All the difference.
Yeah. The things that we do in an attempt to become uh, a more enlightened person, and when I use the word enlightened, I mean being more aware, being able to see things in a different light, so to speak. Not all of a sudden walking around is a very saintly way. That's not my concept of enlightenment. And when we use words harshly against ourselves, I mean, it's like if you wake up and you're having a challenging hair day or a bad hair day, to say, oh, I've got a bad hair day, you know, change the way you say it. Say, well, this is
Mm.
going to be interesting. Let's see how we're going to work with this, rather than start your day out by being down on yourself. And that's with the word surrender. I I'm a warrior, and I'm stubborn, and
Yes,
I use
like
my
me.
tenacity when I need to, but to surrender, that is a diminishment of my soul, of myself. But if I have a situation where I want to make a change and I release that pattern that is causing me problems, or I release that anger, or I release that guilt, then I'm still whole and complete, but I've allowed the energy to flow.
Yes, exactly. And I know that in the article that um, I wrote, there is kind of something that states that it is something, it's a profound act of strength and courage, but everything comes down to making conscious choices. So
Mhm.
if I'm making a conscious choice that, okay, I surrender to this situation because I see that whatever I'm going to do, I can't change it, right? As I want. But I can change my response and I can change my path. Therefore, I can release it in the end, right?
Yes.
So I can
Yes.
move forward with something else.
So if you have a choice between, you know, something that is by its nature kind of a totally giving up, and change it to a gentler form when we're speaking of ourselves, then we are not going to resist the change as much. If I
Exactly.
think, yeah, if I think I have to, put on my armor and go to war and fight until my last breath to to let go of a shadow that I'm dealing with, I'm exhausted. But if I know that I can release it, and again, in increments, and when I'm working with the universe, I always say, please give me my lessons in increments that I can handle. In other words, just little bits and pieces, and it allows me to adjust. I really don't need to be hit over the head with a 2x4. You just kind of wave something in my way, and I go, oh, I need to pay attention to this. But
And and you're so right. I know that feeling, and we can laugh a little bit with me. I can offer that. Um, because I'm also stubborn and I'm kind of many times I say that, okay, I hear you. That goes for my guys in the universe, and it goes for my friends and family, whoever I meet. I hear you, but I'm not really sure I'm going to do that. Sometimes we are dragging things out, but I say it maybe more drastically, and then I'm going to be hit with a frying pan, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's again, reading the signs and being impeccable with your speech, especially in what you say to yourself. And when you begin to use words that are going to inspire you, you find that you use these words also to inspire other people. And this is, to me, this is what we came here for, is to be that inspiration and be that little bit of hope. When I'm having a bad computer day and you come in and you say, oh, well, all you need to do is go press here, and I go, I don't want to touch anything, and you say, it's okay, I'm with you, touch this, then I'm inspired to do it. I
Yeah.
I I trust, and when we
And
use
that
these
that
words, yeah.
yes, and that's beautiful. Releasing something that can be seen as a more conscious and active process, a choice we make
It
to let
is.
go of
Right.
something that no longer serves us.
Uh-huh.
That is the difference, right?
It is, because it's not something that's taken away from you. It's something that you choose to allow this energy to move. And when we release things in our energy field, it allows for more light to come in. And when more light comes in, then we're able to see a little bit better. So it's it's a gentle process, and it requires
It's a se-
energy work.
it's a it's a self-loving process, because when we
Very much.
release, we are not just letting go. We are also making a statement about our self-worth, right?
Exactly.
We state that we are committed to our growth and that we love ourselves, and we are not giving our power away, because when we sorry, when we surrender, in the sense we started talking about in the beginning, as you said, right? That is giving up. When we give up, it's like we feel like victimized. And that is when we give our power away. And that
Yes.
is not a good thing to do.
No. I had this
Saying
come
it
up.
straight.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
I had a lot of this come up when I have new people coming in for meditation, and they're sitting there very timidly because they've been told they have to release all of their thoughts, and they have to do this and they have to do that. And I said, you're not, or surrender, because it's been used. They've been in other places where, you've got to surrender your mind and let the meditation take over. Now that to me is a little terrifying, because I really don't want something or someone, messing with my mind. It's screwed up enough. I don't need other people to come in and, you know. But then when I explained to them, I said, no, you're not surrendering your will. You're not surrendering your thoughts. What you're doing is just releasing them and letting them go, like I used all the time, give them a quarter and tell them to go to a movie. Well, nowadays give them $15 or $20 to go to a movie. Let them go do something else while you are releasing that and allowing the meditation to be. So
Yeah. And there's, you could describe it, surrender and releasing, as a dance, because they come together. They are very deeply interconnected, right?
hmm
But surrender usually comes when we are making a conscious choice about, okay, I do give this up, and then I release it, right? So
correct.
it comes first many times, but they are connected. And I think we need to know the difference. That is why this is important, why this conversation is important,
hmm
right?
Yes. But there again, just it, how we talk to ourselves, because the journey that we're on is, um, even though there are many wonderful guides and teachers and out there, every person that steps on this path, they are on their individual path, and things may
Yeah.
come to them at different times than others, and there's no comparison. But learning how to embrace ourselves with the means to do what we want to do without it being confrontational or terrifying or giving up, so to speak. And
Yeah,
being that I happen to be a strong person.
exactly. And, surrender and releasing, both of them, and specifically releasing, it's about trusting ourselves, listening
Yeah,
to ourselves, because what works for you doesn't mean it necessarily works for me or
correct.
someone else, because we are all unique. But we can listen to each other. I think that what we do encounter in this world is both a way of behaving towards things that are put in boxes, right? This is
Mhm.
how we should behave, first of all. I'm not supposed to feel for myself that maybe I take a sidewalk here because that will work for me, because I'm going to follow the crowd, right? So
Uh-huh.
that is something we need to be aware of. And when we are aware of it and when we are trusting ourselves, then we can make those choices, because choices, conscious choices, when we listen to our heart, not the mind,
Yes.
and sometimes a combination of the two, but the heart, that is so, 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 so important. And one more thing, a question I encounter all the time: there's no such a thing as a wrong choice.
That's true. That's very, very true. Um, I had a situation when I was rearing my youngins, so to speak, and my son had gotten into a way of life that was not going to be compatible with his life or the world. And um, so at that time, I did have him talking to a counselor. And I called the counselor and I said, "Look, I've come up with this situation." And he says, "Well, you have all kinds of choices. Your first
Mhm.
choice is you can do nothing. Your second choice is that you can take the items and take them away and then confront him and say, no, they aren't going to be here. Or you can bring in the authorities and say, this is not going to work." So you're never without a choice. You can choose not to choose. You can choose to make a choice. You can
Yes,
choose the choice you want to make. So when you realize that you are equipped with all of these, it's not that you have to surrender to that particular thought. Maybe you release your perception about that. Maybe you release the fear of that, and then you have even more choices that you can make. It's
e-
it's
exactly.
amazing.
It's
Yeah.
wonderful. To make an example, for instance, a lot of people, when it comes to romantic relationships, they feel very, very vulnerable,
Oh yeah.
waiting for someone. It's like when you can say that you surrender yourself to wait for someone else. That is not a very healthy situation to be in, right?
No.
No, but you need to make a conscious choice, right? As we always have those choices, as you said. Acknowledge that you have the power within you to make any choice you want. You can make a choice. Am I going to sit here surrendered to this situation, waiting for someone which I don't know? Maybe this has been going on for years
Mhm.
sometimes. Or am I going to come to the point where I listen to myself and I say, okay, I'm willing to give this situation a month, 2 months, 6 months, and then I'm going to release it. That
Right.
is another choice, right?
Hmm. And this happens in marriage, where a person feels that because of their concept of what marriage is supposed to look like, a lot of times they'll say, well, uh, I'm married, so I have to put up with this. I have to surrender my thinking or my will to his will because we have the ring on our finger. And
Yes,
we've invested a lot of time in this. And you've actually, in surrendering, you have given up a part of yourself. When
yes,
you start realizing that this is not a healthy situation, and you're not again going to surrender to someone else or someone else's thoughts, but you realize there needs to be a change. So you can start releasing how you looked at that, how you thought about that. And there's times when we need to release people. And if there again you've made all of your conscious thoughts and everything else, you're a lot better off than just saying, well, when I get married, I have to surrender my name, I have to surrender, what I want to do and everything. Now, we're talking about unpleasant marriages. There are beautiful marriages out there, beautiful relationships, and beautiful relationships where people are stayed together for 27 years and they never did the marriage vow thing. So this is a whole different ball of wax, talking about
Yeah,
relationships.
yeah, it is. I know, but it kind of comes into what people surrender to many times.
That's right.
But I think it's important to know that no one needs to surrender to anything that is not in alignment with who they feel they are.
Correct. And just using the loving words of getting through a situation. Um, and you know that there needs to be a change. But how do you do this? How do you talk to yourself? Uh, what kind of things can you give yourself to make a good choice? And unfortunately, people talking to friends who, quote, have gone through the same thing, no situation is the same. So their same is not your same.
Exactly. And
You know?
it takes, it's not, we are talking very straightforward on these things, but it's not an easy way. It's not. But
No.
once we are coming to awareness of who we are and listening to ourselves,
Uh-huh.
meaning that during the process, sometimes we have the sense that I don't really know right now. And that is also a choice.
It's a choice. It's a
Yeah, it's a
choice.
choice to say that I don't really, I'm not sure. That's also okay. But don't drag it out for a lifetime,
That's
right?
right. And here's where that beautiful word surrender comes in. We surrender to the point that we understand that we're at another place where we're going to have to take a look at it. We
Yes.
haven't given up, we haven't given in, but we've just allowed ourselves to say, okay, I'm releasing that need to be right, or that need to this or that, and I'm allowing myself to realize that now I've got a different set of choices to make. And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful process when we um, there again we go back to that self-love, when we're aware that what we're doing is going to be for the betterment of everyone, and not assume that it's going to be um, an issue that is going to cause everyone to fall apart. Because in a relationship, there is a time when you maybe need to move away from that relationship, and it's better for everyone. It's not easy.
No, it's not easy. And people tend to think that it's harder to be left behind, right? But it takes more courage for the one who leaves
It does.
sometimes. Yeah, it does.
And if you really have individuals that start maturing and growing, in like in my situation, and I'm not giving myself an example, but um, after 23 years, it was time for us to move apart. It wasn't pleasant, and it wasn't easy, but I knew that by releasing him, it was for the betterment of both of us. Now we've been apart for almost 30 years, and he constantly tells me how he wished he hadn't done it the same way. However, I tell him, if he did
Oh,
not,
sorry.
yeah, if you need something,
No, no, no. It was my alarm because we changed the time.
okay,
I'm going to close it. Sorry, guys.
that's all right. It's time for you to start the podcast.
So, yes, please continue.
But I tell him each time that if he had not done what he did at that time, I could have never become who I am now.
No.
So sometimes the painful things, I mean, let's face it, being born is painful to the mother and to the child.
Yes.
But boy, is it worth it, you know? Learning a new ballet step, learning how to ride a bike, learning how to do these. Yeah, we fall, we crash, we do things, but the thing is that that's part of the process.
Yes.
And you know,
I have something to say too, and I state that many times to clients when I talk to them. And for me, I feel this is true. Like life brings us events
uh-huh,
or happenings or whatever you could say, situations where we feel like we are pushed in the same way as we are pushed through the birth canal when we are
exactly.
being
No
born.
choice. Yeah, kind of.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we come out on the other side. We come out in it, you can call that a rebirth. So it can feel frustrating. It can feel that I don't really know what foot to lean on. I don't know what to do. But I think instead of stressing decisions or listening too much, it's nice to hear opinions from others, but not all the time. So you can hear yourself, have a little bit of time. And
Mm-hmm.
many people also in that space, when we feel uncomfortable, we are seeking for relief, right? So we don't want to be in that place because it doesn't
Uh-huh.
feel good. But the thing is, when we are resisting being there, we are holding on to it for a longer period of time, right?
Correct. And this is when that magical word release comes in so beautifully.
Yes.
When we're able to release what binds us from that situation, then we can go on and flow with the energy. Now, if I were to use that word, if somebody were going through this situation, I said, well, you've just got to surrender to the fact that, it was wrong. It was this, it was that, and everything else. And just surrender to the idea that you failed and you got to, do something else. Wouldn't that make you very hostile to ever getting into a situation like that before? But if you had someone say, there are times when you have to release that connection and you have to let go, and I hate to say this, but go with the flow. And that's basically what it is. You have to let your own integrity, your own awareness guide you to something that is healthier for you.
Yeah.
And you know, but
And a lot of people hold on to fear of what's going to come after because we don't really, even if we can tune into energies, that's something else, right?
yes.
So if we are moving forward without changing anything, yeah, that can be predictable. But when we are changing things, making new choices, new decisions, that's how we can change our future because the future stems from this moment now. And because we don't really know what's going to come, we tend to step into fear,
Hmm.
but we don't need to fear.
No. And interestingly enough, I love going back to children. From the day a child is born, there is nothing in their mind that says you can't. And everything
Exactly.
is an adventure. And even as you're growing and you go into schools and you find out that there's limits and certain regulations and stuff like that, but your body is constantly changing. Your thoughts are constantly changing. Your friends are constantly changing. Nothing is stagnant. Stagnant water is dead. You don't want to drink
Yes.
from stagnant water. There's no movement. And it seems like magically when we get to be quote whatever we call an adult, that everything has got to be just status quo. And and we resist change. Where if we release the need to know exactly what is coming, we have such a great adventure. We have something to look forward to, and it's very easy to get stuck in your ways, so to speak, and sedentary. But it's always changing. We're always doing something and releasing, doing and releasing, doing and releasing. And
Exactly. And sorry,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No.
You could say that when you resist to move yourself from a stagnant situation, right? You
Mhm.
surrender yourself to the stagnant situation.
See, now that's it. See, that's the difference right there. You give up. You give up and say, this is the only thing I can do. But when you release, you're moving.
Yes.
And that to me is the big difference between using that word. Um, the total and complete, there's nothing else I can do. It's over. I'm finished, as opposed to letting it flow. And talking about this, I realized that uh, I would probably be a person that I would never surrender. I mean, you'd have to take my last breath away. I just would not. To me, it's like, nope, I'm gonna give up. But if someone came and said, if we stop, let's say, fighting over this issue, and we released all of the negativity on both sides, and then we found a way to release that energy and to move forward, I would I would make a change. But if you've got me pinned in a corner and it's, I'm going to have to totally give up and not be me, um, I would not surrender. I just realized that
No.
about myself, I mean,
Yes.
but I am willing to release my thoughts and ideas to a certain degree to find a more compatible place. So, uh,
Exactly. I realized something too when you talked about children. Here's a big mature child because I don't resist change. I'm not afraid of it.
no, no, I mean, every day is something different. I mean, uh, I gradually, the person that I see in the mirror is changing. I go, well, but look at this
Sorry.
beautiful person. Look at this. This is going to be interesting. Oh, well, now I got to do a little something different. But if every time I looked in the mirror and saw my physical changing, and got it to where I was angry or fighting, or uh, I wasn't going to I wasn't going to give in. I wasn't going to give up. I wasn't going to make this change. Then you start doing things that just are going to be detrimental to yourself. So this is the thing. Got you covered.
Thank you.
You know, and but this there again, how you treat yourself, amazingly, is really how you treat the world and how you treat your environment, how you treat the people that you meet, and you know,
Exactly. And the other way around, how you treat yourself is very often how you teach others to treat you.
yes. And interesting about this whole situation. Um, I don't think there's a person in the world that doesn't know that we are facing another election. Now, in that situation, um, elections have become a battle now instead of this is what we're going to do and everything else. So, I mean, that's a whole another concept. But the people, the feeling of the people that I'm feeling is, it feels like if they don't have that choice, when they've got to surrender everything. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And so we've got this stuff going on where what I'm asking everybody to do, and I'm not the only one, Um, but holding love and compassion and just allowing things to move. But if we can change a hurricane, and people are now realizing that we can change the concept of what's going on. I'm not saying that if you do meditation, your person is going to win, because that's also battle, battle, battle. We want the country to win. We want the people to win. We want the climate to win. We want everything.
Planet to win.
Exactly. So it's not that. And yet, if the feeling around here is we are fighting and I won't surrender, and you're not going to make me surrender, and I'm not going to give up. And see how surrender just, oh, it just brings out the you know in people. But if we can surrender to the idea that we want the best, I mean, release that word for surrender. And hey, did I say release surrender? Wow, that was an interesting slip, wasn't it?
A little
Release
bit, yes.
release the word for surrender. Yes. So anyway, we're asking all light workers to just again put that calming effect and hold that energy, and you know we'll make a change. You know,
Yeah, and we can change. We have the power to change. Never forget that. Always.
always remember.
Mm. I think a good thing would be not to surrender to feeling victimized, right?
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, and because when you have surrendered, you've just given up that there's any other choice. And see, that's the finality of surrender. It is like, chung. I mean, ooh, off goes the head,
Yes.
and no coming back from it. And I think that intensity, and believe it or not, when people use that word, they're using it for the intensity. They're using it for the you've got no place to go. And we need to really love ourselves and keep that from being part of our vernacular.
Yeah. And I think that we came here to merge the gap between what is expected of us in the physical incarnation,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yes,
And who we are at a soul level, which can be very, very different because this world contains of a lot of conventions. I call them all conventions. It doesn't really matter where we are in the world.
no,
There are always um, ideas, opinions, traditions, um, upbringing, you name it, that are
yes,
shaping us to someone who, in essence, we are probably not, right?
exactly. And interestingly enough, when we're little babies, we all speak the same language.
Yeah, we
We la-
do.
we
Yeah,
laugh, we smile, we don't see anything other than a person that we want to hug and be with. Um, we cry when we're hurt. We cry when we need food. Um, so we are really all part of this human race. We want to be seen. We want to be loved. We want to be cared for. And all of this other stuff is just somebody's idea of taking the little chess players and moving around the board. But I guarantee you that 90% or more of the world's population just wants to be living their life, working in their gardens, feeding their children, educating them, and whatever way that they have been taught. they don't, they're not really interested in all of the stuff that maybe 10% or 1% even are interested in. So we all are very basically, we want the same things.
Yeah, we do.
So,
We sure do.
oh, well, I didn't mean to get off onto that, but sometimes spirit leads us in different ways,
Yeah, but it's I think that like everything else we have been talking about and discussing, um, everything is connected with each other. So no
Everything.
matter what we're going to talk about, we're going to touch other areas as well
Exactly.
because it is connected. And it comes down to feeling trust in yourself, loving yourself, having courage to step outside of what is expected sometimes to walk your own path. Doesn't mean to walk your path with attitude or bad behavior or anything. No, because when we listen to our heart and when we come from that place of love and we trust ourselves, we can easily see through these things like surrendering versus releasing.
Yes.
Because um, we are not here to be victimized, first of all, right?
Not at all.
No, we are here to understand and experience ourselves, right? And to help at the same time.
Yeah.
Because when we are working on ourselves, the beauty is that we are radiating that and it's like a chain. It goes to someone else, right? It's like the meditation you talked about. One person affecting 10,000, no, 1,000 others, right?
Thousand other souls. Yeah.
Yeah, so working on oneself, and I mean in the true way of doing it. And when we listen within, we will never ever want to harm anyone.
Right. And we didn't come here to be victims, and we didn't come here to be lord over other people. We came here to all find our way and experience this physical body and enjoy this uniqueness that we have on Gaia, and find that we really are really connected. And
Yeah.
in this space that we live on this earth, um, there has been this, well, you're separated from, so you got to be better than, or you're going to be less than, or you're going to have to surrender these people because they're more powerful, and so forth. And the whole idea is finding that love within ourselves, so we automatically feel that. Now, when I'm talking about this kind of love, this isn't romantic love, this isn't chemistry love. This is, I genuinely care about you because you're another human being, or you're an animal. And more and more and more, I'm seeing where Homo sapiens, who think that they are the top of the food chain, um, animals, wild animals, are understanding that not every human is there to kill them. And animals are interacting and stopping traffic and saying, you got to come help me. And then they find that maybe one of their young has been trapped, and the humans can actually get it out. So I'm seeing that this is happening more and more and more. And we're on a beautiful journey, and releasing all of the concepts of we have to this and we have to that, and loving yourself.
Yes.
It's
And
happening.
it is happening and it's so worth it because there's no other way of walking forward on
Not
this
at
path
all.
than to
Uh-uh.
getting to know yourself and to trust yourself. No matter what you are being told, someone else may have an opinion telling you this is what you should do
Yes.
because 50 other people did it this way and they succeeded. It
Uh-huh.
doesn't mean it's going to help you with what you want to do.
Right.
So you need to trust what you feel. And I also hear that many people have a hard time trusting their intuition. we don't always listen. And I'm one of those too,
Oh,
even if I know I should. And I'm
uh-huh.
always being shown afterwards. That's when the frying pan comes out, right?
Oh, does it? Yes.
But we are here. Sometimes we won't listen, and we can acknowledge that too. But we will know and trust that what I did know or I got as a message from within me, that was true. That is one way of learning it too, even if we are being a little bit stubborn sometimes. But that's also a good thing. We can use stubbornness very constructively, right?
Yes. It is. It's a good tool because that means that we don't just say, "Oh my gosh, there's a puddle of water. I can't get through it, so I'm just going to stand here and and I can't do it and everything else." And your little tenacity says, "Well, goodness, if you don't put your foot in the water and find out how deep it is, you'll never know." So
Yes, exactly.
so
So that
stubbornness
that
is not a bad thing unless it's in your face,
no,
so to speak.
and when you continue and you are a little bit stubborn and tenacious, right? It means that you won't surrender.
That's right. Boy, you just kind of slid that right in there, right? But that is true. I mean, uh, we would never surrender. I mean, if we were given options of doing something differently, of being able to release the war we're in or release what we're doing, if we were given options and found a compatible balance, we would not be stubborn and keep fighting. But if we're not given any options, we will not surrender, you know?
No, we won't. And another reason where, just very generally, where we are fearful of surrendering, no, fearful of releasing because we just surrender to the situation, it's because we don't know what's going to come out of it, what's going to be on the other side.
That's
But
right.
that also means if you kept yourself in that situation where you won't release it and you just surrender to it, maybe sometime for 5 years, 10 years, 1 year, 20 years, it's not going to change.
Exactly.
Nothing is going to change.
Exactly. And then everything boils back to loving yourself enough to step out of what you have been taught, loving yourself enough to begin to trust yourself, um, taking that opportunity to utilize all the tools that are available to us now. When I started my journey, none of these Celestine prophecy and four agreements and love yourself and you can do it. These were not available to me. So it's very blessed that so much of this information is available to now, and you don't have to stay in a situation that is not for your highest good. And
Exactly.
you know,
And that is progress. And by the way, if we go back even further, we could say 500 years ago, if we were having these discussions, we would be now been considered witches.
oh yeah, yeah, we'd be
Yeah,
cooking on the Barbie right now. We really would. And that's, I mean, when you think about it, in our country in 1950, women were not allowed to have their own credit cards.
I didn't know that.
I mean,
Gosh,
you talk about, I mean, that's not that long ago. and
no,
and,
it's
and
not.
people act like all of this. I mean, my grandmother was walking just to get women's right to vote. She was a
Yes,
suffragette. She
yeah,
was out there, it's like, and everything else. So if it hadn't been the tenacity of the women, these things would not have changed. And so it's really, I mean, now if I'm wrong, I'm going to say Greece. Okay, there was a situation where the men were just out of it, and doing everything else. The women got together and said, we are going to isolate ourselves and our children from you. And you are no longer going to have marital rights. You're not going to have food. You're not going to have anything until you start respecting us. And they all came together until these men said, well, maybe we need to change.
I actually have to tell you an interesting story, and then anyone who listens, because I went to see a movie about women's right to vote, an American movie, but it was about England, the UK,
Oh, yeah.
the
Yeah. I
late,
remember that one. Yeah.
yeah, 1800s and beginning of 1900s, right?
Uh-huh.
So I came back home and I said, I'm going to look at Europe because I was curious. Greece is not actually that bad. I don't remember the year, but they are not. They were quite early, I think.
They
But
are.
they are,
They think
yeah,
they think ahead.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I found two other countries, and I'm going to state them because I was shocked. Because when I went to school, I learned that Switzerland is a very modern and forward country. I don't know so much about Liechtenstein. That's a very, very small, tiny country in Europe, right? But both of them were very, very late. I don't remember Liechtenstein right now, in the 80s, I think. But in Switzerland, you wouldn't know that, right? They had, it's a tiny country too. They had the right, women's right to vote in all areas in Switzerland, sometime in the middle of the 80s. Would you
Yes.
believe that?
Yes. Yes. And interestingly enough, I mean, that's what everybody wants you to think. But in American Indian tribes, and even in other places, but I know with the American Indians, the women were the ones uh, that were the peacemakers, and they were the ones that basically were the
The heads,
the power,
the
and
power.
they led from the heart. And I know for the last 20 years that I've been working with uh, the Indian tribes and so forth, and Chief Golden Light Feather said, "This is a time when we need the feminine energy again." However, what has happened is the feminine energy has gotten so masculine that a lot of these women aren't really producing feminine energy. They're producing a kind of a faux feminine. And
Yeah.
so we've got to reteach the women. But yeah, I mean, when I started back in the 1990s, when I became a massage therapist, just doing that was trying to break through the uh, concepts that people had of massage. And then when I started doing energy work, then I was really out there on a limb. And now everybody, it's just common knowledge. So, but ladies, I did my thing for you. I helped you get there.
But I think that just to sum up our latest conversation here, I'm not sure. It looks like we had a little bit of a hiccup on Facebook, but I think we are back again. I hope so.
Okay.
Well, anyway, um, I don't mean to go against and break laws and stuff like that because there are basic laws like we need to care for
Yes.
each other, not
Yes.
hurt each other, things of that nature. But sometimes, because if we think about the time we live in and how we're supposed to treat one another, what is supposed upon us, how we should behave, things that we feel this is really going against me at a soul level. Yeah, well, maybe we need to think twice before we do something about that, right?
Correct. Yes. And you know, I encourage everybody to just shift the words that they say and think what they say. Is this going to come out really harsh, or is this going to give a person to keep their integrity and their dignity and still be able to make a change?
Yeah.
And So I'm going to go with, it's so beautiful to release something, but it is so painful to surrender.
Yeah, we have Bob here. I don't know if they hear us or the show ended on Facebook.
That's okay.
Um,
They can see
but
it.
but yeah, but we still broadcast on YouTube. So I'm going to put the link in so anybody who was thrown out here can go to that. So
Yeah.
we have Bob here, and he says, "Sorry, I'm late." No problem, great guy, right?
Yeah.
So I think that yeah, it's a big part of walking this path to question things and to know, for instance, values. Are they coming from me? Do I feel in alignment with them?
Yeah.
Or do I surrender to them? Here we went again, right?
Yes.
Um, or should I release them because they are not in alignment with me? They are not for my highest good anymore. They
Yeah.
are just preventing me from moving forward, right?
And that's the thing. Is there a dam that's keeping the water from flowing that can be opened up and release that water? Um, and there again, trusting yourself. And when we talk about principles, it's not the big things that we want to change. If we do everything from kindness, if we do everything from integrity, if we do everything, from love, we're pretty much assured that we're going to be inspiring and uplifting. And when you come from ego and envy and hate and anger, um, and what somebody said, those are things that you should release.
Yes, exactly. Or the feeling that, okay, they hurt me, I want to get even. That's
Revenge.
not going to bring, yeah,
That's
that's
not
not going to
that's not
bring,
going to help anything. No.
no. So you hurt my sister, so therefore I'm going to hurt your brother, right?
I know, and it never
Yeah,
never ends. It never
no,
ends.
never
And
ends.
we need to let go of that, because first of all, we weren't in that situation, and I can't do anything about what my ancestors did to the natives in this country. I don't have any control over that. What I do have control over is saying we need to be aware of that. We need to stop doing that. We need to find a way to do it. But it it needs to flow. and uh,
It
and I
does.
think that's another thing that our country is going to show people, is
Mhm.
how we're resolving that situation without it being like
Yeah.
this. You know,
By not stepping into the drama.
that's right. Yes, beautifully said. Beautifully said.
It is so tempting sometimes, but it's not the
Oh, I
solution.
know. And some people just live on trauma and drama and chaos, and and I and that seems to be the way that they're resolving things. And I bless them and I let them go on their way. Just stay away.
Exactly. Keep yourself over there, right? Don't come close.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to upload the full video after this on Facebook, so it's going to be there.
Perfect.
Because it's cut off from 57 minutes 22 seconds.
Wow. And that's when we really shine. What can I say?
Mm. Yeah, it happens. It happens, right?
Right.
Oh, I just love the conversation today. It was really, um, it's always great. But for everybody listening to, yes, we are both experienced here, but we never cease to learn. So even when we are talking about things, we are putting words on matters. Whatever it is, it's changing something within because there are
Exactly.
so many layers, and that's beautiful.
And if you if we have the ability to just allow someone to think that it's okay to think differently or to perceive things differently, and we've given you that opportunity to realize that it's okay to not say, oh well, this is the status quo and I've got to live with it and I've surrendered to it and I can't do anything about it. Just start feeling what we're saying and thinking about it and come up with your own version
of
of
it. Yes,
yes.
yes. There's no such a thing as have to or must,
No,
because it's our choice. It's your
exactly.
choice, right?
And even if the choice is I have to stay in this situation until such and such and such, you've made that choice and you know what you have to do to retain and keep your own personal integrity.
Yes,
And sometimes we have to do things and to make it to the next point. But that's okay because you're
yes,
aware of it.
exactly. When you are aware, it's a conscious choice then. There's a difference between unconscious choices we
Yep,
make and conscious.
exactly. That's victim and not victim.
Exactly. That is victim, and the other one is stubborn, right? I'm just kidding.
uh, but if we both weren't tenacious, stubborn people, I guarantee you we would never be doing what we're doing right now.
Exactly.
You know, because we stubbornly want to share love and integrity and truth and ideas. So it's we're pretty tenacious, lady.
We are. That's a very good thing, actually.
Yes.
When we use it in a way that is in alignment with ourselves, and that's going to bring us forward.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
So,
this was
how do
beautiful.
you feel? Yeah, it was
I
beautiful.
feel that we again we have uh, we have laid out some beautiful words and ideas, and uh, I feel that they will take root and be growing. And somewhere, someone is going to say, "Well, I'm not surrendering anymore, but I will release what I need to do so I can keep going where I want to go."
Exactly.
Yes.
It can actually be a very valuable tool to be tenacious or stubborn, um, if you use it in a good way for yourself and for
Yeah.
someone else as
Otherwise,
well.
you'd be like a little jellyfish, no
Yeah.
backbone, nothing. So, uh,
So I think we untangled surrender versus release quite a bit, right?
we did, we did.
So
Kind of exposed them to the out to the atmosphere here and see what happens with them.
exactly. So is there anything else we want to add, or are we feeling
I think
good
I'm
for today?
wordless right now.
That doesn't happen usually, right?
Nope, nope, nope. Doesn't.
No. But anyway, we have a lot of things here. You can, I'm going to show this one. Um, okay, no, that was a comment. Sorry for that. I'm kind of mixing things up here. Um, where are we? Okay, you can find it here, but you can go to angelplaceonearth.com/cosmic guardians, and you can see a lot of articles. Two articles, one for the show here today, and one for from Korean that is really beautiful. So you get, when we are continuously educating ourselves about something, we think about it, we ponder about it, we feel it, we listen, and we listen to different versions of everything, right?
Uh-huh.
There's always going to be progress. is going to sit with us somehow, and we're going to be aware, and awareness, that is key for our journey forward, right?
Yes. And I love the way that you and I may be talking about the same subject, but we come at it just a little bit differently. And then then we have two different vibrations that are going out, and then other people can digest it and turn it into their own vibration. And this is beautiful. I love working with you. I really do.
I love working with you even more.
Yes.
So I'm so happy to have done this show today with you. And yeah, so let's go for the end of show announcements. Is that okay?
Sounds perfect to
Yes.
me.
Yes. So everybody, you have been watching Cosmic Sisters at Cosmic Guardians with hosts Anne and Corrine. And we have been talking about surrender versus release. Our next upcoming show on Cosmic Guardians is going to be this Friday, November 1st in US and Europe, and November 2nd in Australia, because they are our future, right? I love to say that because they are our future. They are ahead of us.
Yeah.
And it's rescheduled from last week because we had to cancel last week's show, right? And it's going to be Bob Eden, the Spiritual Mechanic Show, and host Bob and Anne. And if we are honored with Karine, we would be happy, but we know you're busy. We will talk about how I beat chronic depression. And Bob is actually a very good source to listen to. He have a lot of experience in this area. And we take your questions as usual. Our next show with Cosmic Sisters will be on Wednesday, November 6th in US and Europe, and November 7th in Australia. And I hope that we have adjusted. I'm going to check the time for next time so we don't do any wrongdoing. It's not my favorite season of the year when they are changing time
No.
zones around the globe, because it's not the same day. So it always is going to be a little bit. We are going to talk about what is the difference between integrity and opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that one.
Yes.
Plus your questions. So don't hesitate to ask us questions. We do go live with Cosmic Sisters every Wednesday. Today we had to change time here in Sweden to fit with Arizona, but usually it's 10 a.m. Pacific time. I think it's going to be 12 noon Central Time. Anyway, I'm not going to state because we are in this time frame right now. So
Yeah.
we went an hour earlier here in Sweden today, but we're going to manage this to next week. And we do go live at facebook.com/Cosmic Guardians and youtube.com/at Angel Place on Earth. And you can find us at angelplaceonearth.com/Cosmic Guardians. You can see upcoming shows, past episodes, and see Karine, Bob, me, guests. Read everything you want, article, just to have a section for this because it's important, and we
Yes.
love doing this. So I say love, light, peace, and joy to everybody. What do you say?
Love, light, peace, and laughter. Throw that laughter in. Yeah.
Yes. Bye.
Bye bye.